take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Leave you treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying and chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Boom, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Leave you treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying and chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Boom, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my right and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying and chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. As they quote, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Boom, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Redline Racing Network. Tonight and Sunday night, the right time, prime time, of course, the Sunday night NASCAR season, better known as SNN, going to take it to the racetrack tonight and dial up all the high-octane thrilling action right here on Redline Racing Network. So strap in, make sure Grandma's got plenty of kernel-free popcorn because we're about to get it down in the desert. Qualifying currently 4 minutes and 12 seconds through right now. Last week's winner, Tane Hodison, currently sitting in that second place position as Dylan Banks just put up a howitzer, a 27:36. As it's down and on the track, it is already hot and heavy this evening. We're going to do things a little bit different than we normally do here tonight. Have a special guest broadcaster tonight, first time ever up in the booth. Also going to interview last week's winner as we were unable to provide coverage for COTA, but we got you covered on that aspect as well. Joining me now, first time ever up in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, Logan Giesbrecht. How the heck are you, my man?
Hey, I'm good.
Well, first and foremost, so thankful you can finally join me up here in the booth. And I got to tell you, man, all of your peers have messaged me and said, Matt, if you want to have a good time up top, this is your guy. You got to get him up here.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. What can we expect from these guys tonight at Phoenix? I know you have a lot of practice and a lot of experience out here on this racetrack. What are your keys to success tonight?
I think the key to success is going to be keeping those tires cool. We're in the desert, obviously, in Phoenix, Arizona, so the main thing is going to be keeping those tires cool. It's a flat track, so there's going to be a lot of load through the tires. I'm going to look for Dylan Banks and Paul Hill.
So the Dent Slayer, man, Paul Hill and Dylan Banks, they're starting up front in this race, and I think those are phenomenal picks this evening. And again, want to thank you for being up here, a part of the team. And again, man, it's all about having fun, brother. We're going to appreciate it. You're going to enjoy it. I promise you, by the time you are done, you probably want to do this again. I can guarantee you of that. Let's shift gears now to Coda, getting his first ever SNN Cup Series victory. A big moment for you last Sunday. How are you this evening? Tane Hodison, the floor is yours, my man.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty confident for tonight. But yeah, last week for sure was something very special. You don't get to win too often against people this good. So hopefully we can continue that streak tonight.
You know, you mentioned people this good. There is a ton of phenomenal talent inside of SNN in all three divisions, I want to say. When you finally break through and get that first win, what was the emotion like when you came across the start-finish line first?
Honestly, it's Coda. I was exhausted, but no, I was so happy. Like I didn't know how I would feel after my first win. But yeah, just like I was just so happy, and I wanted to spend the moment with my teammates Diego and Logan. Logan's here in the broadcast booth tonight, so hello. But yeah, I just wanted to share the moment with them too. Unfortunately, Logan's car was not able to celebrate at the end, but yeah.
You know, well said. And, you know, it's those teammates a lot of times that are with you in the trenches, helping you get better. And why not celebrate it with the guys that you fight with tooth and nail on the racetrack each and every Sunday night?
Exactly.
Well, I got to ask you, since you're up here, you're going to start this race P3. So obviously carrying over some momentum from last week. How is the 45? What can we expect from you tonight? What's the game plan?
Tonight, as Logan said, I believe we just have to watch these tires, both temperature and wear. On the long runs, you'll see who truly has the setup tuned. Because last year, both in the fall and in the spring around here, it was definitely long runs. You could definitely see who was struggling like an insane amount and who was absolutely dialed. So I think we'll have a few cautions tonight, so that should help out. But yeah, I think long runs are going to be crucial to saving your tires.
We're going to find out who can save those Dr. Feelgoods and really get all the performance out of those Goodyear Eagles. I'm on board with you 100%. I think the long run game is going to be critical and play a factor into who comes across that start-finish line first when all is said and done. Tane, I appreciate your time up here in the booth. Congratulations from all of us here on the network. And go 2 for 2, buddy. Why stop now? Look forward to covering you out there on the racetrack.
Yep, absolutely. Let's get it.
All right, Tane, I'm going to go ahead and put you back down in the broadcast waiting room, and you should be able to migrate to your VC from there. I tried to drop you back in there, but for some reason, I just don't have the powers that be.
I got it. It's fine.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, guys.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, first-time winner in the Sunday Night Cup Series. Last week at COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, obviously a heck of a wheel, man, going up against such stout competition. Logan, clearly you guys are all on the same page as he echoed basically everything you just said. But, I mean, why not? It was great intel, great data, and that's really what it takes to get it done here in the Valley of the Sun. Again, want to thank all of you for joining us here on Redline Racing Network. Throughout the course of the race tonight, Diego Rodriguez checking in saying, let's go. Dylan Banks, let's go, Matt. I appreciate you guys pumping me up. Thanks for being here. If you guys have a favorite driver, go ahead, sound off, support the cause. We'll get you some extended airtime and your driver as well over the course of this race this evening. Is the field now transferring, or rolling over, I should say, into warm-up. They're going to get a 5-minute session, one more opportunity to dial these next-gen race cars in, and then after that, it's showtime. We're going to rack stack them, send them out there, and it's going to be lit. I can assure all of you of that. And let's go ahead and flip over and get ready to rock and roll here with full coverage from the green flag to the checkered flag. We're going to reset the graphics, reload. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Okay.
Going.
No,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Phoenix. Appreciate all of you being on for the ride with us tonight here on Redline Racing Network. There's a name we haven't seen yet out there in competition in the 2025 campaign. It's Miller time out of Burlington, New Jersey, Prodigy Esports. I believe this is his first start of the season. And I got to be quite honest with you. Jeremy Miller picking right up where he left off. He's P2 in practice right now, or warm-up, I should say. Logan, what do you think he's going to do out there tonight? Are we going to see vintage Jeremy Miller, or you think this recharged and reloaded lineup's going to give him some problems?
well, the main thing, this is Phoenix, Arizona. It's very hot, very hard to pass. So, it really doesn't matter how fast you are unless you are just so much faster than the car in front of you. It's going to be hard to pass for everybody out here.
Well said. And it doesn't matter if you're starting first or 37th. Everyone is going to have the same track conditions to deal with out there. Doesn't matter what manufacturer you are. Doesn't matter which team you're a part of. Everyone is going to have to face that variable. And it's what driver that can do it better ultimately at the end of the day and stay out of harm's way. That's going to be a factor too. Will punch their ticket to victory lane. However, it's great to see the number 30 back out here in SNN competition. You mentioned how hot it was. With that being said, let's go ahead and look at tonight's weather and race information. Going to throw that up on the big screen so all of you at home can follow along here with us. Weather clocking it at 75 degrees ambient air temperature. Water drain, kind of spicy for the desert, 22% relative humidity. Clear skies, so the sun is going to be doing its thing and baking that asphalt temperature. Winds out of the west at 11 miles an hour. Could be gusting 10 to 15 at times. Track temperature, it's getting hot just below the century mark, currently clocking in at 98 degrees. Track length officially 1.01 miles. However, it is advertised as a 1-mile racetrack. And again, we're here in the desert southwest, Phoenix, Arizona, the place. And then, of course, you have our special guest broadcaster tonight. DJ should be joining me here momentarily, as Jeremy Miller still has the hot hand here in that warm-up session. Sean Anderson, Matt Cox, round out your top three. Caden Diedrich, Don Miller, your top five, as they have roughly about 30 seconds left in this warm-up session. Getting a quick glimpse of what this race could look like here tonight. You see that side-by-side racing already. A lot of give and take right now, but we know when it comes to crunch time, they are going to be literally leaning on top of each other, banging doors, the whole nine. Part of the things that make this racetrack, great, and why people come here from all over the country to watch this place in person. If you've never been to this racetrack, I highly recommend you go to it. It's wide open, all out from the minute they drop the green flag. And that's going to officially wrap up their warm-up session. Now we can roll it and start to take a look at tonight's starting lineup here this evening. Dylan Banks going to be on the pole. Fast car there in qualifying trim. Same for Paul Hill as well. Let's go ahead and get the graphics up. And as soon as they start to line up on pit road, we'll cut the cameras down there and join them. Got to take a moment to thank all of our strategic sponsors. Team Watson Racing Setups, Black Magic, our official paint schemes and custom design partner. Cannot do this without you guys. Want to thank them for all their support throughout the course of this season right here at Redline Racing Network. And that field is getting ready, racked and stacked, ready to rock and roll. So let's send it down trackside now for tonight's starting lineup.
And also, let's just try to have a good race to keep our incidents down. I know that there's several people that really piled them up at the super speedways.
On the pole this evening, out of the state of North Carolina, Dylan Banks in that 70 machine. Outside of him, I know him as the Dent Slayer man. New colors on the ride, but that will always be Paul Hill in my mind from four wide racing. He's going to start off P2. Bad Chad Sander out of Smithfield, Pennsylvania is going to roll off here P3. Outside of him, you heard from him moments ago from Brunswick, Maine, Tane Hodison. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's Sean Rogers starting P5 with Jeremy Miller. Miller time starting P6. John Crawford 7th. Ron Fitting, the Pennsylvania man, in 8th. Well, Kavaja Holt going to round out your top 9. Diego Rodriguez going to start in that 10th place position. Michael McCaffrey, Jeff Carson, Caden Diedrich, Tyler Hunter. That's your top 15. Tanner Marty, Tony Meyering, Michael Witt, and Matt Cox, your top 20. Papano, Rob Beastaw, Andrew Deemer, Larry Miles, and Chris Davis out of Beast Mode Performance round out your top 25. Brian Tarnowski is going to roll off here 26. Hello, Darren Mills, I see you. Making his first attempt, and he got into this thing. Going to roll off here 27th. As green flag in the air, we are officially underway here for Sunday night NASCAR action right here on Redline Racing Network.
And you're going to see these guys fan out here in the first couple laps, trying to get any position they can before the long run sets in.
Yeah, these restarts ever so critical, and that's really when you see the intensity dial up just right back there around that 4th place position. Sean Rogers already on the attack, going up against Tane Hodison, and look just behind them. They're already 2 and 3 wide. Jeremy Miller there in the 30, up 1 spot to the good already. He has cracked the top 5, but he has a mirror full of Chad Sander in that 94 machine, and caution already out on the racetrack. This is going to slow things back down. And again, folks, and something else we haven't talked about yet, this is going to heat cycle these tires. And as you heat cycle them, they lose some of their grip and performance characteristics. There's another variable these drivers have to pay attention to, is that iRacing.com pace car now picks up the front of the field. No change inside the top 3, as it's Banks, Hill, and Hodison. Rogers is going to gain 1 position, as does Jeremy Miller, to round out your top 5. Waiting on timing and scoring here to update, gives an indication of what may have happened out there on the racetrack. I know one thing, it was fast and furious, and getting a report, Jeff Carson may have been involved. Let's go ahead and roll back the instant replay. Keep your eye on Jeff Carson. Go ahead and roll playback here. Oh, he got 3 stooged right in the middle. Then he goes pinball mode and ends up having a speed date with the outside retaining wall. Byproduct of 3 wide racing here in the early going. We're going to go ahead and take one more look at this as we get it reset. Let's send this up to the eye in the sky here. The chopper cam probably going to give us a better angle on this one. Jeff Carson in the 9 ride. How many times have we seen this before at Phoenix? And already we have a couple cars that already have some moderate damage. And remember, folks, no fast repairs here in SNN. So if you break it, you have to fix it on pit road. Is those lights still on that iRacing.com pace car? As the field now works its way through the turns 3 and 4 complex, You've already went through your top 5 right now. Chad Sanders going to restart here in 7th. Kavaja Holt 8th. 9th belongs to Ryan Samuelson. And how about Ron Fitting, one of the Pennsylvania boys, or excuse me, out of Sumter, North Carolina, going to round out your top 10. Better start working some heat in these tires. Logan, this restart, another opportunity to gain some positions here. We've already seen one caution. How aggressive do you think these guys are going to be?
Well, I know a lot of these guys in this series, and if there's one thing that SNN doesn't do, that's back down. So I think we might see maybe a few more of these cautions before stage end if these guys don't cool it down a little. But hey, I mean, this is Phoenix. There's massive dog leg. People are going to take it no matter what, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, that absolutely. And I appreciate that. And, you know, sometimes cautions breed cautions. And I think that's what these rivers are going to try to avoid here. Back into the restart zone. And what a restart by Banks as he pushes it through the floorboards, back up the sequential. And he's going to shoot out to about 0.3 of a second advantage over the hungry pack of wolves behind him. Tane Hodison shoots free, so it's 2 cars, single file. Then Paul Hill is under siege right now for 3rd. Flaring out just behind him, there goes Sean Rogers going to the high side of the racetrack. 94 trying to get down. That's bad Chad Sander trying to get single file, but he has not enough room. Now he gets to clear the 24 there, caught him a break. Again, this is right around that 6th place position. 3 wide again into the corner, 2 by 2. Jeremy Miller in the 30, one up there and high 5 to 6.
Oh, he's up into the field.
Oh my God.
And that is a massive wreck behind Banks and Hodison.
Massive wreck behind Banks and Hodison. I mean, they've plugged up all the escape holes. That racetrack is absolutely blocked. And Logan, that's exactly what we were talking about, not what we wanted to see. And oh, Sean Rogers' day is donezo. As you can see, parts of his car blowing down the back straight here. We're going to go manual mode since we had the cameras pointed right on this. Just going to roll this back here, folks. And you know, Logan, while this racing action is great from a broadcast perspective, this is what we want to see in everyone at home as well. These drivers, and it all starts there. When the 30 catches part of the apron, he tries to correct it, overcorrects, and comes straight up into the front of Sean Rogers, and it's on like Donkey Kong from there.
You know, these cars are so sensitive with that independent rear suspension. I have been unfortunate enough to do the same thing. I think it was the 30 that did that. You just feel so bad as a driver, no matter who caused it. It's just a massive wreck.
Yeah, massive wreck, and it's very unfortunate for the other innocent bystanders in this deal, and you hate to see it, because we're now going to send it on board here. A look from Sean Rogers. You can see the 30 gets loose in front of him, overcorrects it, has nowhere to go, no time to react, and he's going to carry it all the way to the safer barrier. The hood instantly flies off. He can't even see where he's going at this point. He's hanging on for the ride. And then when you combine that with all the tire smoke, visibility goes away quick, fast, and in a hurry. However, I do think, Logan, a lot of these drivers did a good job jumping on the binders and finding a way not to be involved in this one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have wrecks, you got to be good at avoiding them. So I think we're going to see a lot more of those tonight. Not necessarily wrecks, but good wreck avoidance. I know a lot of these guys are really, really great at that.
Yeah, you have to be, because a lot of times if Lady Luck doesn't necessarily help you out, directly, you have to be good at, skating through these incidences, these wrecks out there on the racetrack. And a lot of times at the end of these races, it's the driver that not only has good performance, solid pit stops, they've probably had to avoid a wreck or two, to be there at the end and contend for a win. I could not agree with you more, as we're currently under caution. Second time for incident early in this one. It's still Banks, Tane Hodison, and Paul Hill at the front of this thing. Ryden Samuelson, you remember him from a couple weeks ago, already up 6 positions. As Banks takes him back into the restart zone. What a jump from the 70. He got him on the snoozer again. And again,
see Paul Hill there inside of Tane Hodison. He's up to second. He might clear him here on corner exit. We'll see.
well, he definitely had the low line there. He has the advantage, and he's able to clear in front of him for a little Louisville slider at the 45. Tane right there, though, not backing off. And if you've noticed, quickly trying to get back to single file. However, that dog leg, because that is open, that is always going to enhance or at least give these drivers the option to mix it up through that portion of the racetrack. As we're now cleanly back up to speed. Checking in now with our 7th place driver out of Wadesboro, Kavaja Holt in the 00. Solidly inside the top 10. Tanner Marty in the 29 ride up 9 positions, so he's been getting after it here in the early going. Start to see the intensity dying down out there on the racetrack, and that should be what these drivers are attempting to do, is 2 cautions early. That usually kind of dulls things just a little bit as far as intensity on the racetrack, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, you might see a few guys 2x2 maybe in the back of the field, but for the most part, these leaders here, they want to cool it down. They want to have a long run.
100%, absolutely. You know, some of these guys further on back, like Alex Princeton, who's in that 17th place position. However, 5 laps ago, I mean, this man was back in 32nd. He is up 21 positions. Dalton Mobley in 15th, very similar story. He's eating good in the neighborhood. Up 20 spots, cracked that top 15. Chris Claude, the HMFIC head cook, chief, and bottle washer, commands that 23rd place position in that Monster Energy Toyota Camry. Right behind him, made a lot of noise, had some bad fast speed at Daytona. Seabiscuit, or better known as Chris Davis, there in 24th. Well, the master of shellacking, Matt Mackett, runs in that 25th place position. Also got to shout this man out, making his first ever start in the Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. No one thrills like Darren Mills. Good to see you, brother. Spent a lot of time covering his races when I was new to broadcasting with Tony Trapasso over at the Moonshiners Racing League. In fact, some of these drivers run in both series, and great to see Darren Mills out there tonight in competition. Want to wish him well in his very first race. As we send it back up to the point, it is all Dylan Banks, Logan.
Yeah, and Paul Hill, Caden Diedrich have been inching closer and closer. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Of course, running in dirty air, not the best for your tires, but they are just in a blanket together right now. As Paul Hill cuts a dogleg, not able to get to him.
Yeah, Paul Hill is doing a great job of playing defense there. You know, what you kind of want to avoid doing here at Phoenix is you don't want to get caught in a situation where you're trying to play offense and defense at the same time. As a driver, that's when you are most vulnerable and can make mistakes. Oh, it's caution out on the racetrack here once again. The yellow flag flies. That is going to slow us back down here to a snail's pace. Is Banks, Hill, and Diedrich catch up to the pace car here. Don't think we're going to see anyone down pit road yet. However, if we keep seeing cautions at... Oh, we are. Look at this. I didn't think we were going to see that. Oh, the 6 tries to deploy the fake, and he bit. So Paul Hill's going to come down pit road. I like this call, actually. Preferably, if you ask me, I like this decision here by Paul Hill to come down pit road. Also, Ryan Samuelson in that 81 Toyota, as you can see some damage there to the nose of that machine. Matt Cox from Beast Mode Performance, another Toyota, coming down pit road as well as he gives up that 16th place position. Then you have Popino, Chad Sander, Davis, and Carson, who's still fighting the good fight and making repairs to that machine. I thought it was going to be torn up a lot worse than that, to be quite honest with you. So you can see a split decision. You had one car from the front five drop down, and that was Hill. And then you had some drivers further in the rear with the gear, as they're currently getting service on their race cars for the first time here tonight. Still crawling through the black box here, trying to figure out what prompted that caution flag. And sometimes when there's this many race cars out there on the racetrack, make it a little tougher to pick up here.
I believe it was Dalton Mobley off turn 2.
Thank you for that. Let's cut to Dalton Mobley off at turn 2. Dude, great work, man. Right on point. Out of Cooper, Texas. Keep your eye on the 2. That Camaro gave it a little too much spicy sauce. Oh, wow.
And it's the same thing we saw in that last caution there. Overcorrecting in turn 2.
Turn 2 is where the Waffle House dumped the bacon grease right now. And as you mentioned, this car has rear independent suspension. And once it slips, this car is a lot tougher to catch than those solid rear axle cars of the old. We're going to slow this down here, and you can see the back end starts to go drift mode right here. And you can see the correction. It's still sliding. And the minute it catches and makes grip, it's going to just hook the race car back the other direction. And he is going to howitzer himself. Watch this. That is a nasty lick. So he goes Nitro Circus mode. You can see the broken spindle on that other Camaro he hit. Not that tire not spinning. That's going to be an extensive pit stop or time spent on pit road. And then Mobley takes it up to the high side of the racetrack. Give a lane to these other cars to come on by. So very courteous of him to do that. But again, another innocent bystander just minding his own business. The next thing he knows, he's up on 2 wheels. So we now cycle it back to the live side of things. And again, under caution for the third time here this evening in the early going from Phoenix. If you're new to SNN, we are going all the way. We are going the distance 100%er each and every Sunday night. You can count on it. And for the very first time this evening, we're going to step away, pay some bills, but don't worry. We'll be right back with all the high-flying, high-octane racing action right here on Redline Racing Network. Stick around. Race fans, welcome back to Redline Racing Network. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. Coming off another caution flag here in the early going. Matt Metler up top in the Tony Trapassa Memorial Broadcast booth. And my partner in crime this evening, for the first time ever, up in the broadcasting side of things. Logan, I appreciate you being here. How you hanging in so far?
Well, it's a bit daunting, but I'm settling in here. It's been really interesting so far. So
I'll tell you what, man, the only thing that's daunting are those cheesesteaks they gave us before the start of the show. I knew I shouldn't have ate that thing. It looked like it came out of a vending machine, and I think I'm going to be paying the price for it sooner than later, if you know what I mean.
Oh, Caden Dietrich in the wall from second. He saves it, but he smacked that right around the wall.
Yeah, he got up close and personal. And, you know, you were talking about this earlier. Naturally, when you put the loud pedal down to the floor, this race car is want to go up towards the outside retaining wall. And the way this track is designed, it is really easy to get that car up there into the fence. You have to be diligent and careful each and every lap. And if you decide to back off, that's usually when this place will bite you.
Yeah, I mean, he was up on Dylan Banks' rear bumper there for a while. He was trying to roll the top up there, and it came back to bite him for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And as these Dr. Feelgoods transition to Feel Bads, we're going to see this line migrate as well. It's from the top or from the bottom up towards the top of the racetrack, and you can find some speed up there. The problem is, should you miss or slip, you're going to be in the fence. Self-inflicted concrete poisoning after a few times in this next gen, while it is tough, can certainly affect the balance and overall performance of this race car. Is everyone's trying to catch this man, Dylan Banks, from out of North Carolina, currently has almost a half-second advantage, now officially a half-second, over the 84 machine. Tate Hodison continues to hold down the podium in that Ford Mustang in that third-place position. You got to go back about 7/10 of a second to the 48 of Tyler Hunter out of Canton, Ohio, in another Chevrolet. And he has a grill full of Kavaja Holt, who is really dialing up the excitometer inside the 48, Logan.
Yeah, and he's up from 15th up to 4th, I believe. So that's it's a great recovery for him. Same with Caden Dietrich for 14th.
Yeah,
These
great.
guys look fast.
Well said. They look very fast and clearly trying on the recovery drive right now and doing a great job. Little side-by-side John Force special here as they're doing a little drag racing while doing the turn and burn, which is probably not a good thing, but hey, we're in the SNN Cup Series. These guys that can handle it, no problem. The 00 going to try to pull the slide job on him, but the 48 isn't having it. Well, not yet anyhow. Great pass there by Kavaja Holt. And I'll tell you, the 48 comes up and nerfs him. Was that a retaliation, or did he just overdrive that corner?
Man, I don't know. That was hard to tell.
You know, it was hard to tell, and being up here in the booth, you don't want to say anything's for certain until you know. And for right now, we're just going to speculate. But perhaps some shots fired there in the early going, or the 00 not happy with how he was raced. We'll keep an eye on that. Now, Tanner Marty is going to be the next challenger. He comes up and puts the pressure to the back bumper of the 5. In fact, let's jump on board with Marty for the first time tonight. We now look out the front of that windshield. You can see him making to the inside. Oh, he almost made contact with the 00.
When he's got the 32 outside of him now, that's not going to be good for Marty.
32 outside. Thank you for that. So we'll widen the coverage back out, and that was Matt Cox, who is on a mission of 11 positions, make that 13 positions. Now has cracked the top 5. Is Marty now sliding back here just a little bit. Here comes Paul Hill in the 6. And remember, he came down pit road. Last down pit road, in fact, on lap 18. And already he finds himself back inside the top 6 for the number 6 machine. The 84 continues to be the biggest mover inside of the top 8. Biggest mover of the race goes to Alex Bridson, up 28 positions on the racetrack. I'll tell you what, out of Lake Elmo, he is doing it and doing it well right now. And I'll tell you what, folks, on Friday night, in another series that I cover, he did the same thing in a 100%er. The longer this track went green, the better his race car got. And we're starting to see that trend here in the early going. You know, Logan, we're going to see comers and goers over the course of this race. And I think this should favor some of the long run guys that are really good at squeezing the little bit extra performance and longevity out of those Goodyear Eagles.
Yeah, Dylan Banks has looked very impressive. He's actually widened that gap, but he is extremely consistent here, and everybody else is kind of sliding around figuring out what to do.
When he's talking about consistent, he's talking about, one, his lap times and the way he's attacking the racetrack out there. In fact, let's jump on board with your leader. Get an up-close and personal peek at how he is attacking Phoenix right now, live on the racetrack. Listen to the throttle control and discipline. Rev match shifting. I wish I knew how to do that. Got to hold a pretty wheel, and he is doing that. And that is a laser-focused race car driver right there. Beautiful corner exit. It doesn't get any better than that. Now upshifts to fourth gear, coming back onto the racetrack before jumping back onto the binders with another downshift. Yeah, Logan, he is on point right now. He is doing a fantastic job there in that 70 machine. Clearly, that benefiting from that clean air as well, helping the performance of that 70 as well as we widen things back out here. Top three, starting to get stretched out here a little bit. 0.8 of a second, now 0.9 for the 70 of Banks. Caden in the 84. Currently, no pressure from behind him. He's on a Sunday drive right now, and hey, it's only 47 laps into this race. Right now, the 24 just wants to bleed off some laps right now, trim some fat off that scoring pylon. Matt Cox would be his next challenger, as he's about 2.06 back from your leader. About 0.7 of a second behind the 84. And then here comes the man we just spoke to not long ago, Logan, and you know a lot about him, Tane Hodison in fourth.
Yeah, he's fallen back just a little bit, but he's still right around within that 5-second window. He's got, I believe, 0.5 back to Paul Hill. Paul Hill up in the top 5 now. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here at the end of this stage, whether he can get through to second or not.
Paul Hill has the newest shoes out there inside the top 10, down on lap 19. As he now goes for another spot here, it is 2x2, side by side, Noah's Ark situation. And Kavaja Holt is right there should these two guys slip. Paul taking good use of those fresher tires and able to thread the needle and rotate the bottom of the racetrack. Now here comes the 00. Gonna try and follow the 6 through. 45's gonna slide up the racetrack just a little bit here. That should open the door for the 00, and it does. Tanner Marty, I thought, may have taken a shot to it here, but decided to back off, live to survive another day, and now he's going to dial it up to the high side of the racetrack.
Yeah, Tane kind of tried to send it in on Kavaja Holt, and that opened the door for Tanner Marty there on the outside.
4 wide, the 30, Miller clips the 6. Big time moment there for both of those drivers as they continue on. Forget Code Brown, that was Code Everything. Miller's got a problem, as he is way up the racetrack in that number 30 machine. Paul Hill seems to be okay. Lap times seem to be maintaining. You see him holding that position on the racetrack, but it did not fare as well for Miller in the 30. as he now finds himself all the way back to that 35th place position. And he's still hemorrhaging positions. Yeah, that Camaro, there is something wrong with that next-gen race car. Oh, look at the front tire on that thing. It is cambered out to next Tuesday. And that is going to be a handful to drive out there on the racetrack, Logan.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad on the restart. Something must have happened because that right front is heavily damaged.
Yes, sir. And that is really affecting his lap times out there right now, and he is begging for a caution. This is a driver that can't wait to see the first stage to come to a close, as he'll get an opportunity to come down pit road and work on it. However, Logan, we're at a short track, not the most time in the world to fix that race car, even under caution.
No, thankfully it's a bit bigger than most short tracks, so you do get a little bit more time to fix a car without going laps down. But yeah, it's definitely tight here.
How about Matty Cox in that
4/10 behind Dylan Banks?
4/10 behind Dylan Danks right now, trying to run him down here in this later part of stage one, and caution.
Caution.
I'm telling you, as a broadcaster, sometimes you can will these things to happen. You may not intend to. Well, you and I were both just talking about a caution, and boom, here it is on the racetrack, folks. So this is going to slow the competition down. As the 70 is going to pick up the iRacing. Oh, we got someone spun around backwards, facing the other way. I'm sure he got the memo that he can't park there. You're not supposed to, anyhow. Rob Esau jumped to the pits here as well. There's the 72. Beautiful looking FX or Fox paint scheme on that Camaro. When I used to race dirt bikes back in the day, Fox was the gear that you wanted, and it's a great looking car. Unfortunately, hasn't been a great experience for him out there on the racetrack. Because clearly he had some help getting there. And check out that 63 machine. A lot of damage to the front end of that Camaro as well. Let's go ahead, take a look here at the instant replay. What went wrong for Don Miller and Rob? Or are you doing the slide for life there? I think he was trying to hit pit road or come off of pit road, maybe, and missed. Chasing this race car all over the place. He didn't want to make the same mistake and send it up into the safer barrier again, so he locks it down, and he's going to come up there and make ever so slight contact. Does Don Miller come in here and just... Oh, that's an ARCA break of the ages. Logan, did you see that?
No, I'm trying to find it here.
When you find it, you let me know. And bear with us, folks, as Logan and I got two different platforms. We're doing the best we can with. Exactly.
Oh, that's incredible. How did that happen? I don't mean to be mean to the 63, but I don't know how that happened.
I don't want to be either, but I mean, that car was around for a long time before he came rolling through there. So let's do this. We're going to take another peek. We're going to send it now to Miller. And we're going to jump on board with him. Let's send it down to the race car and roll playback. Oh my God, that was a vicious hit. He was wide open. I think he may have jumped on the brakes at the very last second, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible. We got to watch this again. So here we go. This is at full speed.
Wow.
So there's Rob hanging on for dear life. He's going to come to a halt. Oh, my God. I mean, the lick Rob took was huge. I mean, if this is real life, we could be in trouble here, folks. So thank God it's a sim. I just don't know if he had to have known the caution was out, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't exactly know when the caution came out there, but Vsauce was spinning for a while.
He sees the smoke, and he is still hard on the throttle. And I don't know if he just was preoccupied, maybe trying to adjust his brake bias or something, but clearly out the front of his race car, you could not miss the huge smoke plume. And I'm pretty sure I seen on the last timing light or scoring light, the yellow caution light was enabled on the racetrack. But my God, I mean, he had to pepper him well over 100 miles an hour here. Yikes.
I mean, benefit of the doubt, he at least tried to avoid it, but he should have been on the brakes a lot sooner.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. And that's why I have to believe that there was something else going on that was, preoccupying him a little bit there. But, I mean, that wasn't even an ARCA brake. That was full-blown World War II style kamikaze mode.
That was a no brake right there.
No brake. I'm sure the admins and all the other personnel that play a key role in this series, that will be looked at. It will be addressed. But you don't want to go out there having too many mistakes like that. That's not usually going to go over very well with the competitors and everyone else here in the series.
Yeah,
and now it's go ahead.
Here at SNN, we have an at-fault system, so that will most definitely be an at-fault. I believe he doesn't have any other at-faults, so I think he's okay now, but if that happens again, that's going to be, race control is going to dish something out for sure. Right,
and that's why, I want to believe that there was something else going on that prevented him from seeing that situation in front of him, because he doesn't have any at-faults thus far this season. Typically, you're the ones that are, I don't want to call them problem childs, but usually the drivers that typically find themselves, on the wrong side of the spectrum after the race are the ones that consistently, produce these situations on the racetrack. And we haven't seen that out of him all year. In fact, he's done a great job of doing just the opposite. Is that iRacing.com pace car pulls off the racetrack. I firmly believe there was something else going on that took his attention away from that incident in front of him and just being at the wrong place at the wrong time, but still a horrible impact. So we now get ready to go back to the green flag side of things here from the Valley of the Sun.
We have Sean Anderson starting second. He's up from 33rd. I believe he stayed out on that last caution, so it's going to be interesting.
Green flag back in the air, and those glorious V8s come roaring back to life. How about Chris Davis? Up to third place now, as he was last down pit road on lap 56. Tell you what, that Camaro is FAST fast, two of them. 84 took off like a rocket ship on that restart. Sean Anderson trying to hang with him, not let him get away. Then you have the first Toyota in line, which is Chris Davis there in third. Brian Tarnowski, another bow tie. Great looking paint scheme on his race car. Tricia's Hope, as always, being featured. And if you know about Tricia's Hope, if you don't, Stacy Strong. We've been doing this here for a long time in SNN. If you can donate, raise awareness towards cancer research, doesn't matter if it's $1, whatever you can donate, you can go over to triciashope.org, make a donation, and help beat cancer, as Brian Tarnowski is carrying those colors on his race car tonight. And here we go, Logan, 2x2, side by side, almost 3 lanes of fury. Look at the 09, he overdrove the corner. He set it in there so hard.
And Dylan Banks, I believe, the first car on fresh tires. He is up. He's past Noonmaker. He should be up 6th now.
That is correct. He has already cracked the top 10, and he is eaten chewing them up and spitting them out here on the bottom. He is just running hot laps right now, ripping that yellow line around this racetrack, or as close to that yellow line as he can be.
And behind him, of course, we got Paul Hill.
These two, throughout the course of 67 laps, have been like magnets. They have been close proximity to each other for a good majority of this race, as they find themselves in that 6th and 7th place position. I'll tell you what, it looks like these Chevrolets have something figured out. Chevrolet 1st and 2nd place position. Then you have the Toyota Beast Mode Davis, Tarnowski, Chevrolet. Then you have one Ford into the top 5, and that's Kavasha Holt. And then look at the hornet's nest of Chevrolets behind him. I mean, they thought about going 3 wide there. Tarnowski going to the outside. And look at the way Dylan Banks and Paul Hill are slicing and dicing through this field. This is good stuff. Fun to watch. All of this 1 lap shy of the 70 lap mark. So officially, they'll be written into the history books this time by with a little John Force special Ford on Chevrolet action. Pick your poison. The 70. 99.9% sure he's going to reign supreme on this deal, as he has the fresher shoes, and does. Logan, we're starting to see that intensity pick up a little bit back again out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean,
mic up a little bit more. I'm going to take a guess right here, unless you guys sound off and let me know otherwise. We'll probably have to make some adjustments when we go to the live interviews, as that's a completely separate channel. But for right now, I think everything is working way better than I expected. I'm in shock. Matt Cox is your leader by a margin of over 6 seconds, which is an eternity. It might as well be the distance from the state of Florida to California. 6.40 seconds over this man, up 28 positions. Caden Diedrich started way back in the rear with the gear, up 28 spots in that second place position. Paul Hill, who started third. Actually, I take that back. These results that I'm seeing may be wrong because this is from 2 different session files, and a lot of this data I'm looking at now may not be right, so I got to remember that. However, Paul Hill up 19 spots from where he started, projected into that top, inside the top 3, holding on to that final podium position. Dylan Banks, your pole sitter, that I remember, is slid back to 4th, and he's currently under siege from Tanner Marty in the 29, who's having a great run. And how about John Crawford in the 34? He is right there in the thick of it as well, inside of the top 10. You can pitch a blanket over the 70, 29, and 34. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively, out there on the racetrack. In fact, we're going to keep it right here, because now the 29 rider is going to take it to the outside. Try to keep the momentum dialed up with the 34, able to make good use of the dog leg. He's going to keep it right on the back bumper. Again, you're not missing anything up at the front of the field. Just Matt Cox on a Sunday drive. Almost 7 seconds ahead of anyone else. In fact, that type of a pace has put everyone on the top 15, or excuse me, top 17 on the lead lap. If you're 17th on back, starting with Chris Long, or excuse me, Keith Long, those drivers are going to be 1 lap down or more. So that's the pace right now that Cox is putting up out there on the racetrack. Last time by, he ran a 28.28. Best lap on the board for him tonight, a 27.72. So well over a second of fall off right now as he continues to turn laps out there on the racetrack. As it stands right now, and again, this is projected. I'm not 100% certain if the data I'm seeing is correct given what happened. But he was last down on pit road on lap 213. And if that's the case, he's probably going to need to make one more pit stop before he can make it to the checkered flag. And again, there's an asterisk there, and that's if the data I'm looking at is correct. I think we got the stream stable. And again, I appreciate everyone's patience in working with me tonight, doing everything we can to get you the sights and sounds back live on the airwaves from Phoenix. We're going to quickly go all-out coverage. We're not going to step away. You're going to have all the cars, all the sounds, all the visuals from Phoenix. So I can now try to work on audio settings for our post-race coverage. So this way, at least we can hear the drivers' reflections and inputs following the checkered flag. I'll be back with you all as soon as possible. Stick around. I cannot believe it. This Hail Mary is going to do it. This is a workstation of 2017. It looks ugly, but clearly this thing is a battle tank. And for all of you Xeon haters out there, this thing is broadcasting an iRacing event in 1080p with 33 cars on the racetrack. Are you kidding me? I don't know what's... Oh my God, this is blowing my mind. Anyways, as big of a miracle as that is, Paul Hill finds himself in that second place position. Dylan Banks currently in third, Tanner Marty fourth, and Kavaja Holt rounds out the top 5. As he runs in that 5th place position, and usually Kavaja's always had good speed. He just finds himself in the wrong place at the right time on the racetrack, but not tonight. He has fought the good fight. He has survived and stayed alive, and he currently is in that spot to get an ever so critical top 5. That'd be huge for his season. Richard Pruitt, similar story, having a great run in that Camaro. Last time by, ran a 28.07. As he's now coming down pit road, as here we go, the money stop now on the table. As he's one of the first to come off and peel down pit road. Have to be perfect here. No mistakes. Excellent. As he stops in the box, you see the left side jack going up. You're going to be 4 tires, 2 Kansas Sunoco Racing Fuel to go the distance here to get him to the checkered flag. He is down and away. As Pruitt is now on his way back out on the racetrack. Matt Cox has made his final pit stop as well. Last down on lap 273. Currently in that 6th place position. He will cycle back to the lead safely once Caden Diedrich, who currently owns that number 1 position on the scoring pylon. Paul Hill, Dylan Banks, Tanner Marty, and Kavaja Holt make their final green flag pit stops as they were last down pit road on lap 213. Right now, you guys can hear that chat between drivers out there on the racetrack. Again, something we typically don't stream to the broadcast, but due to the situation, well, enjoy it, guys. You're going to hear it for tonight. Looking for the Pennsylvania squad. There's one of them, John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania in the 62. Great looking paint scheme on his race car tonight. Currently finds himself in that 9th place position with a clean looking race car, just like it pulled off the showroom floor. Doing a heck of a job out there. Chris Davis from Beast Mode Performance. The Biscuit. Just outside of the top 10 in that 11th place position. 23 spots to the good. This field right now is extremely strung out as they've been green flagged for quite some time from the looks of it. Jeff Carson in the 9 rod. Remember, he had a big time incident in the early going of this race. Got caught in a whack-a-mole situation. I thought that car was done. However, not the case, as he's currently inside the top 20 on that recovery drive, hanging in there. Final stop completed for that Toyota. Matt Mackin. New paint scheme on that race car tonight. I love the colors combo on there. That white, blue, and black is working really well together. Solid top 20 effort. In fact, he is side by side right now with the 76 as he's going to clear on the top side. Oh, Matt's going to throw it back in there on him. Now here comes the 3 of Ron Fitting. Ron Fitting up 5 positions from where he started. Currently owns that 23rd place position. This is a battle for position on the racetrack between Mackin and Fitting. Chris Claude, the HMFIC. He's got some damage on that Monster Energy Camry now, as he's down for his final stop on the evening with just 20 laps to go. $20 miles remain for Caden Diedrich, who has fought the hard battle coming up through this field. He's survived the mayhem, the chaos, the calamity. Currently has the lead, carries the torch here. Davis is not currently battling for position. However, Dylan Banks, who's been a formidable force all race long, about 8.5 seconds back of the 84. So clearly he's going to try to roll the fuel mileage game here, as he was last down on lap. Actually, that date is incorrect. I do apologize. Forget what I said about the fuel mileage strategy again, folks. My telemetry, the data that I have here, is going to be skewed given what happened earlier in the broadcast, and I apologize for that. Paul Hill in third. At Denslayer, man, he has been there all race long. And then just behind him is where it starts to get dicey. Tanner Marty in the 29 up the high side of the racetrack. You have two drivers here that have both had great speed, and Matt Cox trying to get back to the lead because he had a big lead. In fact, he had almost 10 seconds at one point in time. Pretty similar to what Caden has right now, at a 10.23 second advantage over this battle right here on the racetrack. Side by side, up close and personal. Marty's going to back off and let this battle dissipate. Smart move in case they do have some contact in front of them. Then you find the Mustang, the Ford of Kavaja Holt, and the Toyota of John Crawford. There's been some drivers, unfortunately, that have DNF'd, cannot continue, have left this race, and there's been quite a few of them. So we'll go ahead and cover that now. 25 cars remain in competition on the racetrack. Michael Whitten, the 88, has put it on the hauler. Chris Claude now included, as his Camry is a mangled mess on pit road. Diego Rodriguez, who had some great speed, crashed while we were trying to, well, for all intents and purposes, switch out our broadcast machines. Currently finds himself in that 21st place position. Brian Tarnowski is on the racetrack. Sean Rogers, who was collected earlier on in this one, DNF. Michael Caffrey, Wyatt Fink, Jay Dwayne, and Ken Rod off the racetrack as well at this time. So there are some notable names here that are not going to make it to the finish of this one. 13 laps to go. Now we're going to take it up to the point with Caden Diedrich. So he's diligently working his way around the 24. He's going to clear the 83, trying to come with him. Eaton on the bottom. Oh, holy God. Whoa! Hold on to it. Oh, no. No. Oh. That about gave me a heart attack up here. That is going to bring out the caution. And you just heard Caden say he's got nothing for it, no explanation why the car did that. He went down to the flatlands and his race car went red-headed stepchild mode on him. It went ugly. That was quite the job on the steering wheel, keeping that thing out of the inside concrete wall. the safer barrier on the outside of the racetrack, and nobody hit him. That is absolutely incredible. Also getting a report here that Keith Long and Don Miller may have had an incident. Again, not certain if this data is correct, but we're going to check it out anyhow. 71 there, that Toyota, center of your screen. Everything looks perfectly fine there. I do apologize for that language being used if it bled through to the broadcast, folks. You're wondering why I typically don't stream the audio through? Well, there's a prime example. So, no incident there for the 71. That was a false positive. Let's take a look here at the 63 as he was highlighted as well. Again, not sure if he actually made contact with someone on the racetrack or if he just slowed down too quickly, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. He just stopped right there on the racetrack, which is going to trigger that in timing and scoring. So there we go. No harm, no foul. As the 84 takes everyone down pit lane. That is not the 84. While we're under this caution flag, we're going to try and see if I can refresh or recycle the telemetry here so I can get a better read on things. But I do know we're under caution. That is for certain. Lights do go out on that iRacing.com pace car. Matt Cox going to restart here in the outside lane. In fact, let's send it down trackside. Let's join him for this restart outside of row number 1. It's a long stretch here until you get to the Geico restart zone. You have to come all the way down through turns, between turns 3 and 4. You'll see the Geico restart zone there. 24 goes early, and Matt Cox did not get the restart he was looking for. Look at the close quarters competition there behind him. He's going to clear the 6 of Hill. Oh, the 32 comes up and gives him the chrome horn. He sent it to him in the business end, and look at Paul Hill thread the needle. He parked it right between. That was incredible driving there from Paul Hill. The 32 is going to slip up a little bit on the high side of the racetrack. That's going to allow Kavaja Holt to get by, and that's the last guy you want to give new shoes close to the front of the field is that 00. As Holt now has cracked the podium, he is up to 3rd. What a run for that dark horse Ford Mustang. Banks still your leader, however, he's getting a face full from Paul Hill. Top 3 cars starting to break away just a little bit. And caution out on the racetrack. This might kick us into overtime. We're going to have to see how this shakes out here. From the sounds on track, it looks like someone may have been sent. Let's see if this is right. Again, timing and scoring is highlighting the 63. Don, if you did nothing wrong here, I apologize in advance. Again, I'm doing the best I can with what I'm working with right now, brother. Oh, he did have a problem. He looped it down on the apron trying to get the pit road, and his race car broke that yellow line, so he put it back up on the racetrack, and iRacing is going to throw the caution flag. So a self-spin. Oh, and Dylan Manx, I promise you, is madder than a Keebler elf that got demoted to Fudge Packer right now. There's Chris Claude being on top of things. Thank you, Chris. Letting him know that we can still continue on here as planned with top 3 interviews and so forth. I certainly appreciate that. Lights do go out on that iRacing.com pace car. Right now, it's the calm before the storm. It's like being in the center of a Category 5 hurricane. All is calm, not for long. "25 cars plus are going to come roaring back to life here as soon as we clear that iRacing.com pace car, and the lights are back on at 9. The lights were off, I believe, so it looks like we've added a lap here. RC Race Control probably not liking something they've seen out there on the racetrack. Wanted to make sure they got the restack right. So that's going to give drivers like Dylan Hill, or Dylan Banks, Paul Hill, Kavaja Holt, Caden Diedrich, and Matty Cox, that's your top 5. Another opportunity to think about this strategy here on this restart. Dylan Banks has been flawless out in front, at least from the first time I was able to carry coverage of this race before the failure occurred. And he's right back there now in fresh air. Paul Hilda was outside, of course. 2 Chevrolets on the front row. Then you have another Chevrolet in the 84, Kavaja Holt, the first Ford. And he is having probably one of the greatest runs I have seen in a long time in the closing laps of this race for the 3, or the 00. Trust me, that man wants to come home, probably across that finish line in 3rd or better, more than anyone inside of the top 5. Into the Geico restart zone we go. Dylan Banks going to try and get away up through the gearbox cleanly. The 32 is going to almost make contact with the 6 of Hill. And now he's going to try to thread the needle on the outside. Look at Kavaja leaning on him, driving him up the racetrack. Hill able to keep his foot in it. And he is going to clear the 00. What a power move by Hill. Final lap last time around here for Dylan Banks in the 70. A hard-charging Paul Hill in second, but it's not going to be enough as he comes around out of turn 4. Barney's going to have the checkered flag in hand. Into the Geico restart zone. Dylan Banks is going to score a big-time win here in the desert. He's going to get the W as Paul Hill goes fastest lap of the race on his final lap. He's going to come home second. And Matty Cox from Beast Mode Performance is going to come home third. What a drive. What a night to remember for Dylan Banks. Paul Hill and Matty Cox, congratulations, as he's going to burn it down on pit road. And why not? You just got yourself a top 3. Kavaja Holt gets a much-deserved 4th place finish. And how about Tanner Marty? I see you coming home in 5th. I don't have any other graphics, folks, so I'm going to have to rewind these cars back to show you what I typically do during these interviews. But we were able to find a way somehow to get coverage of this race restarted before the end of it. That is a miracle in itself. We're going to give these guys a moment to talk with their teams, their friends, their family before they join us topside here in the broadcast. As we go ahead and get ready for post-race coverage here on Redline Racing Network. I don't even think we have one commercial. Nope, we don't even have one commercial I can throw up while we do this, but hey, we'll take it given what has happened tonight. Want to thank all of you guys for sticking with us and waiting around. Yes, Terrell, no, this is an open set league. In fact, all the series are open set in Cup, Xfinity, and in Truck. Appreciate you stopping in tonight, Terrell. You know what? We're just going to throw it right there for now. Again, as Dylan Banks is going to get the win here in the desert from the Valley of the Sun. He is the first man across the finish line at the end of a wild one, a shootout here in Phoenix. Drivers are now standing by or will be momentarily in the waiting area as we get ready to interview our top three, as always, right here on Redline Racing Network. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth from Beast Mode Performance, and Matt Cox was Feast Mode out there. Congratulations on a third-place finish, Matt. How are you able to survive, be alive, and be there at the end when it counted?
The fastest car out there, just kept getting into people's incidents and had damage to fix, and I think I fixed 4 minutes of damage throughout the race, and then we finally got that last stage, and I had the track position to get out front and tried to do my best to stay there, but ended up getting a late caution and kind of scrambled everything up.
Yeah, that did throw a monkey wrench, I'm sure, not only your plans, but a few other drivers as well. But, I mean, that is a heck of a recovery for you. I mean, 4 minutes of damage at this racetrack, that's literally impossible to fix all of that unless you have a ton of help, a lot of cautions, working in your favor. But then still you have to make your way through all that traffic, fierce competition throughout the series. Anyone in this league can win on any given Sunday, and I firmly believe that. How are you able to just drive this race car to the front and get it back driving as good as it did before the incidences on the racetrack?
Yeah, I guess I got a good pit crew. We got about 40 seconds of damage fixed under each caution, and then once I got it right, getting through traffic, not a huge deal. Just have to be patient with people and try to get by them and take advantage if they make a mistake. But yeah, I mean, good race. Anybody could win, like you said, any given week, and this wasn't our week, so maybe next time.
Hey, Matt, maybe not the first car across the start-finish line, but hey, a podium is a podium, and momentum is momentum, my friend. And like you said, next week is another opportunity to go out there and get beast mode and put that Toyota in victory lane. Before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 32?
Yeah, just all of our, like you said, all of our beast mode guys, all the guys in our league and in our Discord. We race together, have a lot of fun together, and then we're always helping each other get better. So just all the guys we race with.
Absolutely, and I can contest to everything that he is saying. Proud to be over there with you guys, and you guys are a big family, and I can't say enough good things about you. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, Matt. Look forward to speaking with you again really soon.
All right, 10-4, thanks.
Always appreciate Matty Cox coming up here to say hello in the 23rd Paso Memorial broadcast booth. Look forward to him next week and see if he can keep this momentum rolling here after tonight's race at Phoenix. 1 down, 2 to go. Looks like we have Dylan Banks standing by. Also looking for Paul Hill. I do not see him in the Discord. Joining me now, your winner from the Valley of the Sun, Dylan Banks. You got a copy, brother.
I do, buddy.
Man, that race car was on rails this evening. Clean air, it was a rocket. You put that thing back in traffic, it could slice, it could dice, it could make moves other cars couldn't. And a well-deserved victory for you. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, man. Blessed for sure and humble. Absolutely. Anytime you can get a win in this league, it's a blessing, dude. There's no words to describe it. I'm pumped, man. I've still got the adrenaline rushing.
I don't know what it's like to win in this league. I had a 7th place finish at Talladega last year, and the last 5 laps I was shaking. I could barely hold on to the steering wheel, and that was a 7th place finish. So I can't even imagine what the emotion was like. I could hear it in your voice, but to win in this league, that is quite the accomplishment. As I was just talking to Matt Cox, and basically said anyone in this field can win at any given Sunday, and to go out there and cross that line, P1. I mean, that really says something, and it's really, truly special, and I agree with you 100%. As far as, the game plan coming into tonight's race, I mean, did you guys pretty much have it, etched in stone, or did you have to kind of change it dynamically on the fly over the course of the race tonight?
Yeah, man. Coming in, for sure, I ran a lot of laps this week, did some official racing, fine-tuning the setup to my liking and all. For on the long runs, it was getting a little loose for me. I was struggling off of exit, especially 3 and 4, with looseness. So made a couple adjustments, swing some adjustments. It was still a little loose, but it was better. But that last run right here it came down to fuel saving. I hate it. I hate fuel saving races. But I feel like that was the move to put myself in the best position. Luckily, a caution came out. We were able to regroup and get an extra shot. But yeah, definitely, it's definitely a lot of preparation going into the week. I got to thank my guys at Grease Monkey Motorsports for running the laps, helping me when I need them, and always being there for me. So I think all the credit goes to them.
Yes, certainly cannot do it without your teammates, everyone behind the scenes that helps with the setup, preparation of the cars, and obviously that ever-critical time practicing out there on the racetrack, as that's often the difference maker. And your car was just bad fast, hooked up all night long. It was really fun to watch you out there. Just do your thing and send it. Congratulations on the W. Before I cut you loose, Dylan, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done?
Oh, man. The first one's the big one, man. I got to thank y'all up in the booth. Y'all have done a fantastic job. I know y'all had some PC issues or something happened tonight, but I still can't wait to go back and watch the broadcast, especially for the ending. I thought it was fantastic. Hope we put on a good show for y'all and all the viewers out there. Yeah, definitely shout out all the viewers out there. Couldn't do it without y'all as well. Definitely a big shout out to my teammates at Grease Monkey Motorsports for giving me the opportunity to run week in and week out with them, and it's a pleasure putting in victory lane for them tonight. They deserve this one just as much as I do. And Chris Claw for putting on the league, did a great job tonight, and all the race control, they did a great job. Got to shout out Paul and Caden. They're good buddies of mine, and I think we raced really hard tonight. Kept it up front all night. Yeah, shout out to the podium finishers tonight, for sure, man. And yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Dylan, first and foremost, thank you for the kind words. And my jaw hit the floor when I fried a 6-pin to 8-pin adapter, which basically powers the GPU. And that's what we went down the first time. The computer we're using right now, I don't know if you're a tech guy. This thing
I'm a little bit. I'm still new to it.
Does a Xeon workstation mean anything to you?
I've heard of it. I'm not too familiar with it, though.
It's basically what you would use as an IT professional. It's about 8 years old. I didn't think it'd have a chance, and you know what, to pull this off. I am
Well, that gets a big shout out
Yeah.
too then.
I mean, there's a GTX 1060 in this thing. A GTX 1060, a 6 gig card. I cannot believe what this computer is doing right now. I don't have the words for it. It's probably right up there with the way you were able to just go out there and pull off the victory tonight. I mean, it's incredible all around. But thank you for joining me up here in the booth. Congratulations on the win, man. Make sure you enjoy this one, and I can't wait to see you guys next week out there in competition.
Thank you, guys. I hope y'all have a good night, and yeah, big shout out to the PC, 100%.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That the one and only Dylan Banks, your winner tonight. From Grease Monkey Motorsports, which means we have one driver left to speak to. Your second place finisher, who is now standing by. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, your second place finisher, Paul Hill. It has been a minute. What is going on, my man?
Oh, nothing much. How are you?
Woo, that's a good question. It's been a rough night. I ain't gonna lie. We were able to pull off a Hail Mary here and get back on the airwaves and make the end of this race. And glad we did, because, man, you had a heck of a run. Walk me through your race tonight. How were you able to get that number 6 up 20 positions to a solid second place finish?
Patience, honestly. We had some run-ins throughout that race. It definitely wasn't a clean and simple race tonight, but nonetheless, we finished where we started, and would have loved to have maybe 2 more laps there to try to get back to Dylan and do something there and really try to get that win. But these restart zones here at this track in particular is just, it's impossible from the outside. I feel like it takes a couple laps to get back to the leader, and you're usually fighting off third place who gets that good jump and run down the apron. So, all in all, pretty happy with a second, but definitely would have liked a little bit more time there to see what I had for Dylan. I felt like my car was really good there that last 30, 40 laps.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to see a lot of the middle portion of that race, but the first time I was with you guys, I mean, that number 6 machine was wicked. It was fast over the long run, short run. It had great speed, and that seemed to be the case once I resumed coverage as well. And I thought, a solid second-place effort for you, that car was every bit deserving of it from the effort and how well it performed out there on the racetrack tonight, man. Heck of a job. Before I cut you loose, Paul, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 6?
Yeah, I want to thank, of course, the guys over at 4 Wide, all my buddies, Chad, Ryan Samuelson, Matt Gaskins, all those guys over there. I want to thank Dent Slayer, of course, on the hood. Those guys, tools to do my job in real life and outside the sim. So I want to thank them, as always. And you up in the booth, and Chris for putting on the league every night. I know it's not a easy task. Tempers flare up, especially here at a short track, or shorter track, I should say. And I feel like they try to do their best with it all, so definitely want to shout him out as well.
Well, because of the situation that we had on the broadcast side of things, that in-car audio was also broadcasted tonight. So as far as those tempers flaring, we got an up-close and personal look at those emotions, real time on the racetrack. So glad you mentioned that as well, Paul. Heck of a job out there tonight. Congratulations, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in the future.
Appreciate it. You have a good night.
You too, sir. That is the one and only Dent Slayer, man. Had the plan. Paul Hill, of course, coming home 1 position shy in that second place spot. Certainly had the speed in that race car, I feel, to go up there and contend with Dylan Banks. But nonetheless, hey, second is good any given Sunday. As that now wraps up interviews from our top 3 finishers here from the Valley of the Sun. One last thing to do, and again, I cannot believe, I am dumbfounded. I am in shock that this broadcast is actually working right now. I cannot believe this. This is absolutely incredible. One thing left to do is go over those final results this evening. You've already heard from our top 3 finishers. Dylan Banks, your winner. Paul Hill, runner-up. And Matty Cox from Beast Mode Performance. How about Kavaja Holt in the 00? Gets himself a top 5 in 4th. Tanner Marty with a great run for him as well in 5th. Eric Popino, Tyler Hunter, Chris Davis, Richard Pruitt, and Keith Long. That's going to round out your top 10. Sean Anderson in the 77. Godzilla, Rich Jet 12th. No one thrills like Darren Mills is going to get himself a top 15 in his first start in the SNN Cup Series. That is quite the accomplishment in that 13th place position. While John Wilco out of McAdoo is going to come home 14th. Jeff Carson running out your top 15. Brian Newmaker, Keaton Diedrich, Timothy Cook, that's your top 18. As it stands right now. Now, if these graphics actually change, that's yet to be seen. We're going to figure this out together, folks. We're literally trying this out for the first time. Oh, come on, work with me here. We're trying. Aha, there we go. Yes. 19th belongs to the 34 of John Crawford. Matt Mackin comes home in that 20th place position. Bad Chad Sander in the 94 ride going to come home 21st, while Andrew Deemer in the 83 is going to round out your top 22. Ron Fittick, Don Miller round out your 23rd and 24th place positions, while Michael Witt, Chris Claw, the HMFIC, Brian Tarnowski, Jeremy Miller did not serve up a thriller tonight, but comes home 29th. Tony Myring, you're rounding out your top 30. Alex Princeton, Michael Caffrey, Dalton Mobley, Tain Hodison, Diego Rodriguez, round out your top 35. Wyatt Fink, Rob Besaw, Ryan Samuelson, Jay Duane, Sean Rogers, and Bennett Allen, and Logan Giesbrick round out the 42 drivers that took the initial green flag tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining us here on the broadcast this evening. Again, I apologize for the interruption. Best case scenario, able to get this broadcast back up and running, folks. I cannot believe it actually worked. I thought it was a useless attempt, but this is why you always try. We were able to bring you the closing laps, the sights and sounds here from Phoenix. Want to thank all of the partner sponsors, all the men and women behind the scenes. Team Watson Racing Setups, the official setup shop of Redline Racing Network, and Black Magic. Looking to put some new vibe in your ride, get out of the static, go see the guys at Black Magic, and remember, it's good for 2/10 out there on the racetrack. And as the late, great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Redline Racing Network.